This video is designed to help you with Early Childhood Education Task 3, which is analyzing student work assessment. The first step is you're going to choose one common assessment. So you've done 3 assessments in your 3 lesson plans. You're going to choose just one of them. And it's called a common assessment because it should be everybody did that assessment. All your kids did it. Especially make sure that your 2 focus students have done that assessment. Step 2 is you're going to analyze your data. So you're going to create a chart based on your rubric, and then you're going to add the data for your class. Only use first names or numbers to protect their confidentiality, and then put this chart in your reflection paper. Here are some examples of what the chart could look like. In this example, you've got the students down the one side, they're numbered, and then each column is one aspect of the rubric. So in this particular lesson, the students were expected to provide a definition and one example. Their artwork needed to be unique and to use their own ideas, and the artwork needed to be neat. They were focusing on art as well as literacy. Here's another example. In this lesson, the students were creating a recipe book, and they needed to have a title, an introduction, the ingredients, the directions, and then the quality of the illustrations. They needed to match the recipe. So they were scored 1, 2, or 3 based on how they did, and that's the data chart. This student color coordinated it, which made it easier to see the patterns in the data. I kind of like that. This lesson was answering questions 1 through 4, writing 3 facts. The facts needed to be relevant, and they needed to use proper conventions, grammar usage, etc. And she put it in a chart and used percentages for totals. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do these charts. Finally, here's another one that was the students needed to come up with the physical traits of the main character's feelings and actions. And again, they were scored 1, 2, or 3 based on how well they did each of those. So that's the kind of data chart that you're then going to put into your reflection paper. Then the next step is you're going to gather evidence of your focus students' learning. Remember, you have 2 focus students. And you're going to provide 3 types of evidence of their learning from the same assessment that you just chose. The first is video evidence of learning. This can be the 2 video clips that you already did in task 2, or if you want to use different video clips, that's fine. You can choose 2 new video clips, 1 for each student, 7 minutes maximum. You'll do it the same way you did the other video clips. Again, that's optional. Observation notes, you're going to create anecdotal notes. If you haven't done them in person, then just create them from watching your videos to document your 2 students' literacy learning on this assessment. So again, you're going to create anecdotal notes on how they did this assessment. You can handwrite or type them, 2 pages each, and you're going to put each one in a separate file. So 1 file for focus student 1 and 1 file for focus student 2. You can label them observational notes, focus student 1, observational notes, focus student 2. And then the third part is work samples from the chosen assessment. These can be scanned text files. If the children did written work, like if they drew a picture of the main character, you could just take a picture of it or scan it into a text file, into a Word document. Or if the children did like oral work and you don't have work samples, then you could use videos here. But if you have written work, it's easier to just create 2 text files. Again, 1 for each student. Okay, now you're going to write the analysis. Based on your data chart and the evidence of learning that you collected, write an analysis of the strengths and the weaknesses of the whole class, and then the strengths and the weaknesses of your 2 focus students. And you're going to put that into your reflection paper. Step 3 is you're going to reflect on your feedback. So go back and find examples of how you gave feedback to your focus students in your 2 video clips or written on their work samples. So again, this could be from task 2 videos. It can be from the 2 new videos that you created of evidence of learning, or it could be that you wrote feedback on their work samples. And again, you can add 2 more video clips of you giving feedback. So if the video clips you have already don't show you giving feedback very well, but you have other video that shows how you gave feedback, then you can include 2 more video clips, 1 for each focus student, and it would be 3 minutes per child. And then you're going to write a description of that feedback and use timestamps from your videos. So you're going to describe how you gave feedback about focus student 1, their strengths, and focus student 1, their needs. And then how did you give feedback to focus student 2 about their strengths? And how did you give feedback to focus student 2 about their needs? And you're going to put that in your reflection paper. So again, you can either use the written work samples that you collected already, or the video clips you have already, or you can add 2 more video clips of how you gave feedback, and that's going to be 3 minutes per child. Then write that all up in your reflection paper. Step 4, you're going to describe in detail how you got or will get your students to understand your feedback. So how do you know that they understood it? Does it kind of show in the video how you got them to understand it? And then you're going to describe in detail how you did or how you will get your students to improve by using that feedback. So maybe you gave them feedback and they tried again right away and improved. You can use that video. Or if you haven't done that yet, you can kind of pretend what you will do next. How will you prompt them to use the feedback when you do another activity like this one? So the idea behind this is that feedback is only helpful if students get an opportunity to use it so they can improve. Step 5, you're going to look through your videos and work samples for examples of the students using the vocabulary words that you had planned. This can be in whole group, in small group, it can be any of the students. It does not have to be the focus students. So again, you can use the 2 videos from task 2, or you can create a new video, no more than 5 minutes, or you can use the written work samples. So if your task 2 videos show the students using the vocabulary, just cite those. If you didn't capture them using the vocabulary and you have another part of the lesson, you can create a new video. Or if the students use those vocabulary words in their written work, then you can just provide written work samples. Those are the ones that you would have done already. So again, this is having additional files here is optional. So describe how well the students use the vocabulary words in your reflection paper and give examples from your videos or your work samples. And then finally, step 6, this is the last step. How did you use your assessment to inform your instruction? So the first question is, based on your students' learning, what would you teach next to the whole class? So now that you see, where their strengths and weaknesses are, what would you teach next? And now that you know the strengths and weaknesses of your focus students or your children with specific learning needs, what would you teach them next? Maybe you want to pull them in a small group and teach them something specific. And then finally, what developmental theory or research supports your next steps? So how did you use developmental theory or research to decide what you would teach next? So in summary, you're going to submit the following. Part A, video evidence of learning, 1 file for each focus student, 7 minutes maximum. This is optional. If you have good video evidence of learning on the assessment that you chose, then you can use the task 2 videos instead. Part B, your observational notes and work samples for the focus students. So you're going to have 2 files for each student, 4 files in total. This is required. So you're going to have observational notes for focus student 1, work sample for focus student 1, observation notes for focus student 2, work sample for focus student 2. Part C is evidence of feedback and evidence of vocabulary use. These are both optional. You can use the task 2 videos or the written work samples, but if you want to, you can include an additional file for each focus student for you giving them feedback, or you could include another file of vocabulary use. And then part D is going to be your reflection paper. You're going to use all of the rest of this for examples in your reflection paper. And then part E, give me a copy of the rubric for the assessment that you chose. This is the same thing that you created in task 1, but just include this here to make it clear what assessment you used to create your chart. So there are 3 things that are required: the observation notes and work samples, the reflection paper, and the copy of the rubric. The other 2 parts are optional. Again, you can use task 2 videos if those work. If not, you can include additional videos. So that's going to be the 5 parts that you're going to submit for task 3.